Hi, welcome to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchell. I'm so excited to bring you this mixed media canvas tutorial. Here's a sneak peek. I love how this turned out. Links to supplies can be found in the description box below. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and select the option to be notified as soon as I upload a new video. So I'm starting with an 8x10 narrow canvas. I believe this one came from Artist Loft. And I have this Retroburst the Crafters Workshop stencil. And my plan was to put modeling paste throughout over the entire surface of the canvas. And then I decided, I got somewhere the inspiration to kind of do it as a swoosh across the middle. Now I know that I'm going to do some collage work with some gel prints that I created in my last couple of gel printing videos. And they're going to be in the upper right hand corner and in the lower left hand corner. So the swoosh is going through. Now I'm going to be collaging flowers. So I'm thinking these starbursts or retrobursts as they call them are going to kind of resemble flowers in the background. And I really like having that texture because it's going to catch the paint in a different way. So I've looked at the petals of that I cut out from the gel prints, and I'm picking out some of the colors. Now I learned that if you put yellow in there, just that little bit of yellow, it is always a good idea. So I'm just putting on the acrylic paint with my fingers, here, there, wherever I see fit. I don't really have rhyme or reason. You see me spraying with water just to keep the acrylics open longer. Normally I've been doing this on mixed media paper or on tags and different things. Working on the canvas is a little different. You've got some texture there, which adds to it. But it's also, I'm getting used to it when I'm putting it on because I don't want little pocks of white in there. So kind of pressing it into the modeling paste and into the canvas. And you see me every once in a while going to the sides and putting paint on the sides. I don't know what I'm going to do with the sides at the end, but I want some color there that comes from whatever I've used in the canvas. So I've got quinacridone magenta, I've got alizarin crimson, this is light magenta, the bluish purple is dioxazine purple, and I'm just kind of putting it on and mixing the colors. Now purple and yellow will make green or will make mud, so I'm kind of avoiding combining those colors. But with the acrylic paint, and you're going to see me do it at some point in time, if you get a mix that you don't particularly like, you are able to take a baby white and take it off. And in worst case scenario, let it dry and then come back and layer, because acrylics will layer upon acrylics. So you're not stuck should some unsightly color appear. So here I'm just putting a coat of all the various colors all the way around the canvas. One of the other differences of working with a canvas as opposed to a paper is it's not a solid surface. So here are the gel prints, and I'll put a link to the videos where I use pretty much items that you either have in your house or are dollar store purchases or they're out of the recycling bin to create these gel prints. And you can see why I picked the color scheme I have here based on the petals. And that yellow goes so well with that yellow in the middle. And I'm really liking where I put the texture paste. You kind of have that swoop. And it kind of looks like flowers in the background, which is admittedly what I was going for. So I'm looking at whether I like the colors in the background, and I'm finding it a little too dark. I know there are ways that I'm going to highlight and shade around the flowers to make them stand out from the background, but I don't want to do too much. So here I'm thinking, I'm going to put a little bit of this light blue. And it kind of lightens it up and it adds that brightness to it that wasn't there. I'm just mixing that in. Now remember, everything underneath it, now the acrylic is dry, so there's not a whole lot of blending going to be happening. Which means I'm going to be adding more acrylics in a minute. The blue wasn't exactly the right color, so I'm coming in with this light aqua. And this, when I put this makes me happy. This somehow is giving me the shades and the tones that I see in my head. I don't know how else to explain it. And I know when I take that aqua or tealy kind of color, if I mix it with the alizarin crimson, I believe that one is, it does kind of make a little bit of a purple. So here now I'm deliberately, blending all the wet acrylics, the blue, the aqua, and the alizarin crimson together. And it's kind of making this soft, smoky kind of purple. And I admit it, it's making me happy. Worst case scenario, if you absolutely end up with colors that you don't like, let it dry, put a layer of gesso, and start over. It's pretty risk-free. It's just a little bit of paint. And if you experiment with colors, you're going to come up with some amazing combinations. I remember the first time I finger painted like this, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is absolutely horrid. Now I just know to just keep working it until it happens, until you get to that point. And it always goes through a ugly phase. It's still a little dark, so I'm adding some white. And then I'm starting to blend that white in with the wet acrylics that are there. Now that the canvas is totally covered, it's not soaking in as fast, and it's staying a little bit wetter for longer. And I love that smoky. You're getting different shades of each of the color because or tones because of the addition of the white. And I'm putting a little bit of the white on the sides. Now, because I've mixed paints and on that, in the modeling paste, you're seeing all these different colors. Little bits of color are poking through here and there, and it makes it look absolutely amazing. So now I'm trying it out. You can see how these flowers look a little bit better on this background than they did before. And I have the words grateful and blessed that I cut out with my silhouette. And I'm just kind of positioning it, seeing, okay, if I'm putting these things here and there, what is going, what am I still seeing? Is there a place that I want to enhance? And I decide I'm going to add a little bit of bling. And I'm just, with the pad of my finger, rubbing some of this gold on top of the modeling pasted areas. And it just catches, and it's just adding that little bit of shimmer. And since I'm liking that, I get out this Kaiser Crafts stamp, which I absolutely love, and I'll put a link to it in the description box. It's a good all-purpose one, and I'm just stamping the gold on parts of the canvas. This is just another layer. in mixed media, in art journaling, you want to build interest in layers and have little bits that are peeking through. You can just see a little bit on the camera here, but it's there, and depending on the light, it's just a nice addition to the canvas. And since I added gold to the front, I'm going to add gold to the back. Now, I was wishing that I had the Retroburst stencil in the small 6x6, but I don't. But I did have this one from Joggles, and it has a miniature one, very much the same. And I decided, in an effort to both lighten the background and make the background look like there's flowers all around, I'm just stenciling with white acrylic paint across the canvas. And this just kind of lightens the background just one more step and adds another layer. So back on with everything and figuring out the placement. And I'm putting the words there because I want to be sure that I have enough room. For the most part, I don't want the letters of any of the words on top of the flowers. I'm just gluing these down with gel medium. If you don't have a canvas, you can do this on a page. You could do this on an iCAD. Get out your gel prints or colored papers or papers that you stamped and stenciled on and create your own page. Here I've reversed the stencil or the petals so that the blue one is more on the top. Just a little bit of a change. So they're same but different. So the Grateful and Blessed I cut with my silhouette. And I'll be gluing that down as well. After I add a few more of these little bursts in and amongst the other ones. There was just a couple areas that I thought just needed a little bit of brightening and lightening. Another way to lighten up a page, just splatter with white. So I'm doing that as well. That kind of ties the elements together. So it ties the background with the focal point flowers that I've just added. And because it's me, I need a little bit more gold on here, and I'm splattering with the gold as well. Now I'm using a process called floating, and this is something that I learned when I did folk art painting, which was painting on wood. And I will put a link to the video where I show and teach how to do this, as well as other ways of shading and getting the effect, because you can definitely get it using a Stabilo all pencil or charcoal. There's lots of ways of getting the same effect. I prefer using this because it's acrylic and it will be permanent. I'm using an angle brush and I'm putting the paint on the tip and water on the other side, and then kind of brushing it back and forth so that it kind of floats, so you don't get this like straight line. It kind of is a wider band. And I'm putting it on the edge of the petal, and then you're going to see me as well do it on the canvas part. And you can see how this process of shading or floating is really defining the flower and making it pop out and stand out from the background. I could have outlined it with white. I could have used a fine liner bottle with thinned out paint in black or white. but I'm really liking how this is working, and I chose not to use any liner pen or fine liner bottle. I didn't think it was necessary. And that's a decision you make based on your background, based on the colors, based on how the shading turned out. It's a judgment call when you get to that point. But in some way, shape, or form, you're going to need to outline, shade, highlight these flowers. So you can see how nicely that popped. Now I didn't want to put the black right on the center of the flower, so I got out the quinacridone magenta, or maybe it's the alizarin crimson, I'm not sure. But I'm shading it, doing the same floating technique around the edge of the flower, and it just made it. When I'm making the gel prints, now that I'm using a lot of it in collage work, I am trying, if I have yellows, I want yellow with a little bit of green. I have yellow with blue in it. I have yellow with the pink in it. Different colors with other color combinations. I find that it makes very interesting gel prints for the use of collage. And I decide I need to edge the canvas here. So I'm kind of doing floating shading around the edge. It's a little easier to do when you have a flat piece of paper. So here's, learning curve, trying to get the same effect on a different substrate. But again, that little bit of dark really framed the canvas, and I was very happy with the results. So I play around till I get it dark enough that I like it. I know I've said it before, but I just love this canvas. So you can take a canvas like this and pop it into a frame. You take out the glass and pop it into the frame. And I'm not sure that this is going to be necessarily framed, but I want to have that option. If somebody wants to take this canvas and pop it into a frame, I want to make sure that my letters are still in the middle. So that's why I'm putting the frame around it right now. That's something that I haven't really paid attention to before. So if I was to even go and try to frame some of my art journal pages, I would run into that problem. Anybody else notice it? I flipped the and sign. So it's actually backwards. I didn't notice this until I started editing the video and saw it earlier on when it was placed the right side. I did apply water to it, and the gel medium kind of softened, and I was able to lift it off, and I need to go cut another one with my silhouette and place it back. If you're very, very, very gentle, you can take things off that have been glued, but you're running the risk of damaging the acrylic paint underneath. So I decided to paint the edges black, and you can still see some of the colors and the textures on the sides showing through, but for the most part it's black. So if I don't want this framed, it still looks quite lovely as it is, just framed with the black around it. And I think if it was me, I would probably choose not to frame this. I don't think it needs it, but that's a personal choice. So I'm just signing my work. I'm putting the frame. This is a kind of a blue frame. It actually goes quite nicely. Here are close-ups of the pictures. I apologize that it's a little bit dark, but I hope you can see the lovely colors and textures and the yumminess that this canvas is. You can see some of the close-ups of the wonderful color combinations and mixtures that you get by finger painting on a canvas on textured places. So I challenge you, go get out your gel prints, get out a canvas or a piece of mixed media paper, and create your own floral piece. Don't forget to come and post it in my Facebook group, All Things Mixed Media Creative Katie. Bye for now.